Hey everyone, today I'd like to show you how I made my awesome rustic towel rack with iron piping and a piece of cedar. Let me show you how I made it.
I used 4 half-inch floor flanges, 2 half-inch T-fittings, 2 half-inch 90-degree elbow fittings, 2 half-inch 2.5-inch connectors, 4 half-inch close connectors, 1 half-inch 24-inch in length pipe, a 1/8 drill bit, and 8 10x3/4 stainless screws. The assembly process is fairly simple. First, you're going to take the close connectors and connect them to the T-fittings. After that, take the 2.5-inch connector and connect it to the T-fitting also. Now, take a floor flange and connect it to each 2.5-inch connector. Now, connect the 2 remaining floor flanges to 1 close connector on each piece. Now it is time for the elbow fittings. Screw each elbow fitting to the other close connector opposite of the floor flange on the T-fitting. Make sure that when you are screwing them on, they end up facing each other. Lastly, we are going to screw on the long piece of piping. The piping is going to be connected to each of the elbow fittings. Make sure that as you are screwing them together, that they end up facing the same direction. Next, I had to measure for the length of the piece of cedar. I chose to go with 30 inches because it gave a little bit of overhang on each side. I took the piece of cedar that I picked up over to the miter saw and marked at 30 inches. I then cut the cedar to length. This is a rustic style project, but I still wanted to smooth out the top of the cedar to make a little bit better shelf. I used my planer just to clean up the top and bottom. I made multiple passes through the planer until I ended up with a smooth surface on each side. I left the edges in rough form. Now it is time for sanding. I sanded the top and bottom of the cedar with 180 grit sandpaper and then followed with 220 grit. I also made sure to round over the edges a little bit just to soften them. Now use a tack rag to get off all that sawdust to prep for the polyurethane. I picked up these painting pyramids off Amazon. They really come in handy for finishing. I decided to go with a wipe-on poly for this project because I like the wipe-on look. I made sure to do several coats of this, waiting for it to dry in between coats. After the poly has dried, it is time to assemble. Place the iron piping on top of the cedar in the position that is right for what you want. I chose to place the cedar a little bit further back. I then marked the screw holes. After you mark the screw holes, you're going to take the 1/8 inch drill bit and put a flag at 3/4 of an inch. Now drill the holes where you have marked until the flag touches the wood. This will give you a perfect depth. Now place the iron piping back on the cedar and take the stainless screws and screw them into the pre-drilled holes. I decided to finish them off with a screwdriver to prevent any stripping. And that completes my project. Now you just need to find a place to hang it.
I use drywall toggles to secure this to the wall. Because of the width, you can't hit 2 studs at once, so I ended up catching 1 stud on the right and used drywall toggles on the left. Just make sure you pre-drill and use the right size drill bit if you're going to use drywall toggles. Also, make sure you put a level on the top to make sure that it is nice and level before you mark any screw holes. I built this project because I wanted to make something nice for my wife for our vacation house. She loves rustic things, so I thought this might be the perfect combination. Thanks for watching my video, and I hope you subscribe to my channel. I put out an assortment of little how-to videos and projects that I'm working on. Thank you for watching.